So welcome everybody, and I wanted to start with,
Are you comfortable taking off your mask?
oh, if you all are, better?
Yes, thank you.
Wanted to start with our mission team motto. I slept and dreamt that life was joy. I woke and saw that life was service. I acted and behold, service was joy. Just a short prayer. We thank you, gracious God, that we are part of your body and that being part of that body is a joy that we are able to serve our community. Amen. And it is a joy to be on this committee. So I suppose you all know CHUCC's priorities are homelessness and hunger. And it's this committee's priority. So for those of you that were here last week, you learned that there's 3 levels of homelessness: unsheltered, which includes episodic or chronic; sheltered, which are people that couch surf or live in temporary shelters; and then housing insecurity, which they are probably one paycheck or one illness away from not having a home. So in 2021, we donated $17,253 over the year. So the backpack program was $1,500, Faith Cafe $1,200, the Homeless Connect was $900. I got to back up for a minute. This came out of the mission budget, these dollars. And the Project Homeless Connect also came out of a special offering where that's taken up 4 times a year, and that was $237. Save Park $500, Family Promise $500, Mary Mac $6,000, and we have the Mission Quilters down here because they do give to Northwest Children Foundation, and it's really important. We just don't know an exact dollar amount, and it's probably priceless. I've heard that the children that receive these blankets keep them all their lives as a memory of security that they received. So it's really important. And the special offerings that we take are the Great Closet Clean Out. Oh no, I'm on the wrong line. I need my glasses. Sisters of the Road, Red Lodge Transition Services, Community Action, Project Homeless Connect, and again, the Mission Quilters. I'm going to make an assumption that you all know what Sisters of the Road is. Does anybody not know?
I don't know. Just saying.
You don't know? They're an organization in downtown Portland, and they serve meals. They don't give them out free. You get work vouchers. But they do take care of the homeless. They feed them and give them a sense of pride. Red Lodge Transition Services is a fairly new organization that takes First Nation women out of prison and transitions them into jobs and homes, so that they don't go back into abusive situations or homelessness. Community Action serves probably more sheltered people. There's rent assistance, utility assistance, and then they help people through a program get back into housing. They also do a lot of other things. They have a program for teenage moms, and I really don't know what else they do, but it is a lot. And then Project Homelessness Connect, they run shelters. They oversee temporary emergency shelters. They have an outreach team. They operate a day center, and they do collaborative one-day events. Then we have our yearly mission events, which is the Great Closet Cleanout, the backpack program, the warm coat collection goes definitely to unsheltered, and the William Walker Christmas gift offering. I should say William Walker Elementary School. Mary Sue doesn't like us to think that that's a person. So, oh, and the blankets.
So CHUCC supports the DVRC, which is the Domestic Violence Resource Center, by providing a transitional house, which is our Mary Mack house. So when someone flees domestic violence, they would first go to a safe house, which is called Monica's house in the DVRC system. It's where they catch their breath, and once their initial threat has subsided and they're a little bit stabilized, then they would move to our Mary Mack house. And that's where the residents can stay between 6 to 12 months. It supports not only Beaverton and Washington County, but it's also Multnomah, Clackamas. We even have people coming from South Washington State, because if they need to get out of their initial area, this is a better place for them to go. Something I found interesting about this is that it's not only a domestic violence resource center for women, but we've also housed a father with his 2 children there. So it affects both men and women. Last year, the Elks Women's Club helped refurbish our kitchen, so we got some help with the internal workings of the house. During COVID, there have been 2 residents there. They've kind of had to slow down because trying to get work people through the pipeline has been a little bit, it's been a little clogged up. We weren't sure about the protocols, but now they feel like they're a little bit more confident, and they have, anytime it's a public place, masks are worn and they have their safety disinfectants. So we just moved someone out of there, and they're going on to permanent housing. It's been a great success. And they think within the next week or so, we'll be moving someone else in. And then probably in the next 1 to 2 months, they're probably going to max out between 4 and 5 houses or family units, depending on how many children come with those. I was going to say our slide. I was hoping that you'd be able to see. Well, you can do it. So let's see. The services provided by Mary Mack House from the DVRC side is case management, housing and employment support, financial planning, counseling, advocacy, safety planning, resource referrals. The services provided by CHUCC is we maintain the house from the physical and the property, the outside property and the house itself. We provide blankets and gift cards at Christmas time, and provide bedding and personal supplies as requested. We've they kind of keep us at arm's length because there is privacy issues surrounding this. So it's not, people are always saying, what can we do? What can we help out? And it's not that we would want to maybe jump over there and help, but they'll let us know when they need something. And they are very thankful for the support we've given them.
So does Washington County, they have something for the use of homeless? They do.
They do. They do. And I
They
right
pay us,
now.
starting in June, it'll be like $854. And just so you know, the $6,000 donation we do, that we call that in. Bob, why don't you get the slide showing at least for us?
Supported them with $6,000. What that meant was we supported by re-siding the south side, I don't know, whatever the side that got, needed to be re-sided and painted and did some other work around there. The money that we receive from them is not what we would normally receive if we were renting out the house. So in addition, we're kind of giving some like,
Really?
they're getting more than we're getting back in rent, but we do, it does give us something, so. And we kind of keep this, we kind of do, we don't talk about where it is so much because it is kind of a secret thing. We want to keep it. Any other questions?
Okay, let's just show it here.
I don't know the numbers per se, but I do know that, they said like the father that was there with his 2 children, it was a great space and he's moved on and has secured housing. The person that's just moved out within the last week or so, also they've secured housing. So
In terms of those who stay there and move on, I know that when I was in, it was, I can think of one resident in the, who I was there, about 3 years? Something about that. I think there was only one resident who they actually asked to leave because that person was not cooperating with the plan. And they have to have a plan that supports looking for employment.
right, and that's what the caseworkers, and that was kind of what had slowed things down. I thought it was mainly COVID, but and that initially they're trying to keep people on separate floors.
Yeah.
That's not the case so much anymore. It's been that the caseworkers had a change in that, so they're trying to get someone new. So, and what you're saying is it's imperative that they have those caseworkers working with them so that they can then become successful as they move through this. They have a caseworker that works Monday and Wednesday, and then we have an intern that's out there on Fridays. So they've had a little bit more support. So that's been helpful. I think maybe when you were also involved, it might have been a different, I don't know if it was the DVRC. We initially had partnered, it was, okay. We had partnered with someone else and that partnership didn't work quite as well.
That was way early on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was bad.
And like you said, there's a little more to
Yeah. So, but yeah.
If you have any questions you want me to get details for, I can.
I have a really
Pursue
simple
that.
question. So we have a Costco size thing of laundry detergent, lavender scented that I can't stand. And I only used it twice. So is that something that could be donated or,
I think they would love that. Yeah.
and how would I go about doing that? Because I
Tell me about that.
don't- Okay,
I'll probably have you drop it off at the office and
okay.
then I'll have their person come get it.
Somebody come get it.
Or in the case like that, if I say that it's coming, we can drop it off on their front porch.
Okay.
But they want to know what's happening.
Yeah, no, I know there's a real, they don't want things, because there was a time when people were just
Just-
dropping stuff
yeah.
off. It was not good.
Schools up just up the road from us. And it's a K-5 school. They have 484 students. And so I would say this is this supporting the school is part of that, mostly supporting housing insecure folks. So over 95% of the students are on free and reduced lunch. Some of the other numbers there. Over 20 languages, I think, are spoken at the school. It's a diverse group. And we support them in 2 main ways. One is through the Christmas Project, which is where we adopt the families that the counselors from the school select, and usually get wish lists and just collect either items and gift cards for that and mission support for that. And then the other is the backpack program, which is going on throughout the school year, where 10 families are selected and it's to take home food for the weekend, and 5 each week, and it just rotates. or switches off. And that's supported through the mission budget, and also sometimes we're taking donations, food donations for that. We haven't been much since COVID, and haven't needed to, so we've had enough money in the budget to support them. And then also they were included in the social offering.
Could you speak a little louder?
Oh, yeah, I think I'm actually done, so sorry.
Oh.
Questions about our support of the school?
Not a question, but I was going to say, historically, we also did these Friday night family fun nights. And what was such a great deal with that is that they were so successful that the parents that attended the Friday night family fun nights saw, oh gosh, people are volunteering to do this. So it became part of their, they noticed that people volunteer for those things, and now we worked ourselves out of a job. So then they were able to self-support that. So we helped them get going in a time when they needed it, and then they did it themselves. And a lot of people used to do the reading too, the smart.
Family Promise is something we've been doing for the last 4 years. And Family Promise is a national organization, and I forget how many thousands of groups they have, but a group is essentially a consortium of churches that come together to support, to create a homeless shelter, or it has been. So Hillsborough had the first one I know, and they've had one for years. Beaverton started one 4 years ago, and now there's also one in Tigard. The Beaverton and Tigard ones have now combined, which is, in my mind, very good news. You only have one board, you only have lots of things going on. And what happens, the model that this started with was, and it was started by a woman from the East Coast, looking at the problem, and essentially it's one of the few things we do that's really ecumenical. So you get a central group that gets a bunch of volunteers. And the churches volunteered, and if you were here a few years ago, what we were doing was volunteering for 2 weeks in the summer to host families in the rooms that the preschool is renting. And we could host up to 4 families, and it took about 40 volunteers to do that. And essentially what we did was host families from 5 at night to about 7 the next morning. Dinner and breakfast were provided. And other than that, the families left the church. There was a day house at that point at Sunset Presbyterian where the families could go if they needed services to get help, and keep any belongings they had there, or do wash or any of that stuff. Now you can imagine when COVID hit, that the church is closed. We didn't want 40 volunteers all trying to help, and no family wanted to have 40 volunteers every week help them. So really things closed down for a minute. But what also happened is over time, Family Promise has now expanded the models that they have to serve. And funding has come about much more for housing people. So last year, we still have a house in Beaverton. Right now it's holding one family with 6 people, so they're giving them 2 bedrooms. It's a 3-bedroom house, so the max it could ever hold is 3 people. But from the county, they began to get money to provide a shelter for us in Beaverton. It's at the Comfort Inn, and they could house up to 10. They got up to 10 rooms. 5 of those had to be families, 5 could be individuals, and it was a COVID protection action essentially. And so that existed, and Family Promise, really couldn't use us as volunteers, partly again because of COVID. You didn't want to touch anybody. So they have caseworkers working with those people, and they added caseworkers to work with those 10 families. At some point, the report they gave, which is now months ago, was that they had an 87% success rate getting families out of the shelter into housing. Now, they do a lot of screening. So they also commented that we're kind of picking the easier ones generally to place. They're screened. They don't have drug and alcohol problems. There's no criminal record. So there's a lot of screening that goes in, but it can be a relatively quick placement. And that's ongoing, and that's probably a long-term model for Family Promise, because think about it from a family standpoint, they aren't moving every week, you know, you can settle a little bit. And by far the bulk of these people are like single moms with maybe 2 kids and individuals. It's really rare for them to have a large family, or has been in the past year. What's also happened now, and Hillsborough also has 10 rooms that they could do. They have a house as well that's being renovated right now. Over the winter, more funding came about. So right now, each site also has 10 additional housings that's truly a cold weather shelter. So they have money kind of from January to June. So, you know, the great news to me is this is a program that is providing shelter for 40 people at a time, compared to the maybe 4 we could have done and 4 that they could do in Hillsborough. So the capacity, it's now a really different model from our viewpoint. And frankly, when we looked at it, our involvement in it has been, I come out with an email periodically going, we want to do dinners for 4 families, who will deliver them to the house? Because all we have done is support the house. So that's kind of the status. It's a really changing model. It's kind of dynamic, and it's going to be dependent on funding, but its impact on the community has a chance to get bigger. They did send it up saying between the shelters, they moved 8 people out of shelter into housing in January. So it's an ongoing process. They're kind of learning. I saw the article Dave Dodson did on how you get people housed. And part of it was saying you have to get a lot of resources working together. You have all of your different community resources. And so, you know, you need the people who know how to get the housing permits and how to do this and that. And they appear to be getting really good at that as far as I can tell. Bob, would you go to the next slide? So we are committed for several things coming up. I'm looking for volunteers, so let me just let you know. And there's really, as this has happened, again, volunteers were almost shut out. They're trying to figure out how can they use our volunteers, and they're trying to do it in an orderly way. So 2 things are now up on you can schedule the church for. One of them, they're taking that set of 10 rooms, that's kind of the long-term model. And they said, you know, once a month, we'd like to do kind of a fun night dinner. And it's a very simple dinner. It's about an hour long. They have a room at the Comfort Inn. They invite the people to come. And so you do dinner and maybe bring some games that kids could play and entertain the kids. It's just a chance to socialize. And all it takes right now is about 2 to 3 people willing to provide dinner and maybe provide something to talk with the kids about. The issue, they said, is you want to make enough food for about 24 people, 4 may show up. And you can give them take home and you can take home, you know, but so I'm really looking for people. This is our connection with people, and we're doing it March 23rd. For me, what Family Promise did was got me talking to homeless people. Now I have a foster brother who lives in his car and has for years. I had a little bit of knowledge of homeless people as kind of reasonable people with problems. But what Family Promise was great was, I think, giving us some insight, particularly in how difficult it is and how hard it is and how hard it is to do it. This is kind of right now the only communication or chance we have really to meet families. So the other thing we are doing is we're quote hosting the house right now, which now 1 family. On March 27th through April 2nd. And that means four times we will deliver cooked meals to the house and that they can eat. And we do right now still deliver it and drop it off. Also, then we provide gift certificates for meals the other times. And we've done that manually, or the church has done that as part of what they've done. And the church, in addition, hasn't done gift certificates to support those 10 families in the formal shelter. So if you are at all willing, you know, it's a chance really to reach out and touch. I think I'm looking for people willing to do that. And then there's Does that make sense? Do you have questions about that at all? It has really taken them a while to get kind of organized again around this new model. So we're just seeing that. There are other things they're looking for. Again, if you move 8 people out of housing, you know, and you only have staff who are caseworkers, they need volunteers who are willing just to help move furniture. It's great if you have a truck, but they actually have a trailer. You know, if you have a car and you're willing to drive a trailer, you can do it. And they're kind of willing to say most of that moving can be on a Saturday if people are working. So they're looking for people who are willing to get notice and say, yep, I'll try to move. I'll try to help these people move. To do that and to do the dinner, you need to take some training. And the training is 2 parts. One is about family promise. It's about 20 minutes and it's really good. The other one is for about an hour and it's more on what's the flavor of how we work with volunteers, and has some very interesting things on, you know, these people are under trauma. What does the research tell us about what people are like under trauma? And what are things you can do and say to people that are helpful, and maybe what are the things that aren't very helpful to say, you know? So anyone who's really going to be contacting people like you have to take the training, and it's online. Other things, they need help at the Beaverton House just in maintenance. There will be a chance, I think, to help kids with homework. That's not real organized, so I haven't really heard a request for that yet. Yeah, and we can do a supply drive, and the mission committee is willing to do that. So we will pick a month and go to Family Promise and say, what is it? And we can do a supply drive. Now, that may well be a new program they're doing called Beaverton Buddies. And what Beaverton Buddies, it started maybe 2 years ago, is a chance to collect things and give them out to people that help the housing insecure, because they're going to take daily things. What do you need? You need cleaning supplies. Do you need diapers? Do you need feminine supplies? You know, what are the things that cost money that you do? And they're trying to build a way that people can ask for those and get them delivered. Or not delivered, but pick them up. And so that program exists. They haven't found quite a way to structure it for us, but if you're at all willing, it's another way to meet people, to be responsive when they want help and help pass things out, or maybe sometimes to help them with it. So Beaverton Buddies, you'll hear more about. I think that's it. It's really a growing program. I think it has a lot of opportunities for us to do things. And with that in mind, I'm also looking for Jody Harper was kind of a co-leader with me, and it was really important when we were housing. He was wonderful as we were doing this. He's at Forest Grove now, a major church still, but it's kind of not easy for him to co-lead it. I would love it. I think there's a lot going on that I don't have enough energy or enthusiasm for. I would love if someone else is interested to partner with somebody on it, and also have them go to, they run very good once a month meetings. Have someone go to that too. So anyway, so I will, if you're interested in helping the back of these sheet, I will take names. Are there any volunteers? Pass the sheet around. If you're willing to do something on that family fun night or provide a dinner or a gift certificate, just write your name. Thank you.
Good thing you got the slide, because
I was totally cheating and guaranteeing myself that I would just have this list to work from, so. Excuse me. So, all of you have been here for a while, but I'm Jennifer Warren. I've been on this committee since I started at CHUCC, and Ralph Wadley and Judy Baudet welcomed me into the mission committee. So it was my first entree into being engaged with anything or anybody at CHUCC, and it's always been a wonderful experience, and it's evolved over the years. So broadly speaking, the mission committee, we focus on hunger and housing, but we do look at it from a perspective of local and national and international sometimes. So as we're looking at issues and things to support and talk about, we do try to think about what's happening in the rest of the world, and not just like here in our backyard. But
But for this particular topic that Sue brought us all together on, our main focus has been Beaverton area of Washington County primarily. So in terms of that,
For those of us who are half deaf, could you both slow down and speak a little louder?
oh, but they put me at the end of this because I talk fast and we want to get everybody out. So I thank you for that. I will, thank you, Jody. So the focus for today is going to be on housing and what we are looking forward to and what we have an ask for everybody in the congregation. And also tying back to today's sermon, those last C's at the end of the ABCs, there are a lot of those. There's contribution, there's commitment, and there's challenge, and there are a lot of other C words, but these are some of the things that we could use some help with on the mission committee. So we went through the calendar a little bit, but through the year, you all know, we have these different events that we do, the collections and the drives. We can always use some extra help with that. It's not a big commitment. It might be an hour or two to show up and hang out with us at the narthex and collect things, or maybe to deliver them. Or when we do something like the road bags that we did at Christmas, that took a little bit of extra lift to get everything organized and do the shopping and the prepping, but it's not hard work and it's kind of fun. And if you ever are interested in just a one-off or you have a couple of extra hours, we can always use help with that too. To deliver the donations, we have clothes and warm clothing today to go out to the farm workers. So I'm thinking that we've got that delivery plan lined up, but we have those periodically through the year. So if you are free when we're doing that and you would like to maybe go do help with the delivery or help us load up, we can always use that help. As Sue mentioned, she's looking for a Family Promise co-leader, and it's a big program. And as they start to gear back up again, and hopefully COVID starts to settle down, that's going to kick up even more. So not just to be a co-leader with Sue, but also to help us coordinate all these different things, the opportunities that they have for family nights or other events. Well, we'll need some help kind of planning those. So those are always things that you don't necessarily have to commit to now, but just keep them in the back of your mind so that here's something that I can do, right? The mission bulletin board, one of these days, people, we will be back in the fellowship hall for coffee hour, and there's a bulletin board that will be sorely in need of updating. So Marilyn has worked on the bulletin board, I've worked on the bulletin board, but it's time for us to, share that fun with somebody else too. So it's not a big deal, but if you like doing bulletin boards, or you might like to partner up with somebody or with us, one of these days, we're gonna get back in that hall. Financial tracking, I don't do a whole lot of that, but we have funds that come into this committee and that go out from this committee, and to keep track of that and to help us think about ways to maybe, put that message out there even more. If you have kind of a mind for that, it's not the whole church budget, it's just the mission budget, but it goes to lots of different places. And it's nice to have an extra set of eyes, an extra set of hands, and an extra brain to help us keep all that coordinated. Publicizing programs, offerings, and opportunities. I'm going to come back to that one in just a second. But exploring other opportunities in the community, that is an open field. There's a ton of stuff out there. We know what this issue is. We know what a lot of these organizations are. We know what a lot of them do. A lot of us have contacts with those organizations in the community, but we don't know everything that's going on. And we don't know what's happening with a particular organization, or if an organization is doing an event where there's a particular need. For example, Marilyn mentioned Sisters of the Road Cafe, which has been an absolute anchor for the city of Portland, along with Blanchet House and a couple others. Sisters of the Road is closed right now for whatever reason. They said they have some structural issues, and there's a note on their website. So they are closed. They're not serving food. They're not doing this. And that is a big chunk of what was happening in Portland that's not available right now. So when things like that happen, or when they happen here in our area, we want to know about those too, so that maybe that's something that we can step in to do something special. So, keep your ears open and let us know about other organizations that you have contact with or you're familiar with, because that's always good to know. Question?
Are we supporting Nell and what she was doing and doing the sandwiches?
Nell is, yes. Well, so
No,
not direct.
They're not doing that anymore.
Okay, and I stopped too. So, yeah, this was a pretty comprehensive list of who we supported in the last year or so, but it's not complete. And so there've been sort of these one-off things where Nell's group, and then who was the Bev Stearns's daughter. We get these occasional requests for like quick support, they have a short-term need for out of baby diapers or something. And so we look to those things every month. So the mission committee meets once a month, and we do it by Zoom right now. One of these days, we will also hopefully get back to doing that in person, but it's nice to do that by Zoom kind of actually. So the reason I wanted to come back to publicized programs, offerings, and opportunities is this. We do most of our publicizing through the ATC and on the website, primarily through the ATC, because everybody in the congregation should be on that mail list, right? Also on the website. I'm careful about what I put on the website in terms of contact information, because we live in a crazy world and people like to spam email addresses and they like to, hack websites and everything else. So we tend to do things on the website through contact forms, just quick forms. It's like your name, phone number, and email address or something, and you can put a question depending on what the topic is. And that goes to a person, but you can't see who that email address is, but it gets that email right there, and it makes it easy for people to track, the mail that's coming in. But the reason I really wanted to mention the website in particular is for two things. When we do the quarterly offerings, that is on the front page of the website. It's on the home page of the website, right at the very top of the page, and you'll see that. And every quarter, we divide our special offering into three parts, really. 50% goes to a United Church of Christ fund for whatever is happening that quarter. But the other two quarters, the mission committee determines what those organizations are going to be. And you will see in that window that I put up on there, you'll see not only the name and the logo, but you'll see maybe a link to their website. And also, most of them have videos at this point, and a lot of them have little short videos on YouTube. So we're going to put all that stuff back on the website shortly. Give me a couple of weeks on that one. But we'll put all of these organizations with their links to their websites and those videos that we've had, the ones that we've collected, so that you can become more familiar with those organizations. Some of them have been sort of one-time contributions. We've done Blanche House once. We've done Sisters of the Road once or twice, maybe. Community Action, we tend to do almost once a year at some point, because they are this amazing umbrella organization that supports so many different things related to housing. And one of the most important things I think that we learned from Nancy's presentation last week was that it's not just about the shelter. It's about all of those supportive services that keep people either from becoming homeless or keep them back in their housing. So medical or hunger or daycare for the children, so the mother or the father or parents can go out and work, all of those things. And that's one of the real strengths of an organization like Community Action. So we look to them, frequently. If we can't think of anybody else to contribute to, we can always go to Community Action. So the website is going to have all these resources on it, all that information, so you can learn more about those organizations. But when we do the quarterly events, the quarterly offerings, check those out, look for the links and look at those, and you'll understand, you'll get to know a little bit more about what we're doing in the line. So if you can contribute, then that's a contribution and a part of your commitment right there, right? If you want to learn more about it, just learning about some of these organizations sometimes and finding out what's in the community is that's going to change your perspective on a lot of things too. I know it has. Just putting this presentation together has really helped all of us see how much we've really been doing. We don't necessarily always get out there to do hands and feet on the ground. Sometimes we're out there with Habitat for Humanity, or we're doing an event here, but we can find all of these organizations that are doing really great work already and find out what we can learn more, how we can partner with them. And maybe as COVID starts to settle down, bring some of their people in to talk to us more so we can learn more about their organizations and how we can partner up. So I think that is pretty much everything. The one other thing we were talking about is, where we're going in the future, what we're doing going forward. So we have a calendar, we have, events and things that we do already, but we're also looking to what we want to do in the future. And so if you are interested in participating with that at all, we can always use some, fresh ideas and good thoughts. We meet once a month by Zoom, and it's not a huge commitment, Like I said, most of this stuff only takes 1 or 2 hours to help with if you want to do that, but we'd love to get some extra people in there. So this is not just for the folks of you who are in the room right now, but this is, whoever's going to be seeing this video. You let us know. We'll have more information on the website for the mission committee to contact us so that you can learn more about it. But we would love to have extra people. It is a wonderful way to bring together all the things that we talk about and that we do and to connect out to the community. And so being able to do this in January is kind of a really nice launch for us for the rest of the year. Just say this is what we do with homelessness and housing and security and what we'd like to do going forward. So I don't think there's
Hey,
anything else.
Bob, can you go back to the slide that kind of shows it's a yearly what we do?
There, one or two more. One more.
Next one.
There we go.
Yeah, Marilyn, you might want to talk about that one. You do.
Oh.
People can look at it.
Well, what's going on right now is the great closet clean out, and this is cleaning out your closet, gently used clothes that goes out. We take that out to the, sorry, to the United Farm Workers in Hillsborough. And they're very appreciative for that. And we also take the blankets out there. The road bags, you all know, you take a road bag and give that out. We've talked about the backpack program. Linda Ebert, we should have mentioned this, is doing the bottle collection the first Saturday of every month, and I believe she has over $1,000
That's for the youth. That's
for the youth trip.
But it tends to be mission related, right? They do something.
Yeah.
Mission related.
The warm coat collection is strictly hats, gloves, coats for adults, socks, and that goes. We sent that somewhat. We in the past we've done night strikers, which is a really unique group of people who go downtown in the evenings in Portland and do haircuts and foot washing and pass out these coats. But this year we gave it to the shelters here in Washington County. So, and then the William Walker Christmas offering, William Walker Elementary School. I'm assuming there's no one here that doesn't know about that.
And we are still doing Faith Cafe. It's about every 7 weeks. It's a different model than what's been done in the past. We're serving about 45 to 50 guests, and it's just a takeout meal now instead of having them come in, having them sit and then serve them. So it's not ideal, but at least it's something.
If they ever get back to actually serving dinner on a Sunday night, there's nothing more rewarding than going and working there. They're welcomed as guests, they're seated at a table, they're served, and then after they're served, you're invited to sit with them and talk. You get to know these people. It's really wonderful. The other thing we do is give $1,550 a year to Habitat for Humanity. And that's an annual gift that I guess it doesn't really come under homelessness because these people do have homes, but it's an opportunity for people to purchase their own home. And I think, I've never done this, but I think a lot of you have actually done physical work on these homes.
Well,
Like everything else, it's more than building a house. It's all work of it. So you can't out there. You could help them.
It's a wonderful organization. You mentioned Safe Park, and I don't know if you know exactly what that is, but through the city of Beaverton, they have designated parking lots that people who live in their cars can park in and be safe, and they're put a porta potty and a storage unit in. And we looked at it doing our parking lot, but it's not a good fit. It's a busy street there, very visible. Anyway, I read about a church in New York that has opened their kitchen up and allowed people to come in and cook their meals. And I'd like to get that started when COVID's over here in our church for the safe park people.
One of our churches in Clackamas is putting tiny homes,
Putting what?
tiny homes in their parking lot.
Yeah, Bridgeport is doing it out in Northeast Portland too.
So we've got 2 churches.
Yeah.
Thank you.